But you've got opinions about Silksong. That's an unexpected, you know.
I have several. I have at least 3 opinions about Silksong. But let's start with Silksong in the other direction. Wooly, do you have any further opinions on Silksong?
I didn't boot it up.
Okay,
I
so
didn't go any
no.
further.
Got it. We'll start there.
Mm-hmm.
So, as of about 1 o'clock, maybe midnight last night, Pacific time, I got my 100% clear and have it in the bag for the proper true ending version of Silksong.
How soon? How much time between having the ending or the boss accessible to you versus cleaning up?
45 minutes.
Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah, I got to have a. I got so I got a little up my own ass because why not? Because I've been so humble about Silksong for a bit. So I titled the stream, the second to last stream, "Nothing in Act 3 can stop me. It can't even slow me down." And I really like just pointed at the heavens with that one and was like, boy, I really hope something doesn't just completely fuck my shit up.
Mm-hmm.
And nothing fucked my shit up. I actually just coasted through it like no problem and felt like a big man.
Oh yeah.
So as a big man, as a really big man who's very strong and muscular and smart, who totally crushed Silksong, I have some takeaways. The first one is the absolute bizarre nature that 100% completion does not actually mean you've done everything.
Because there's over 100%.
No, there are parts of the game's structure that just do not count for the percentage at all. One of those is filling the hunter's journal, which means fighting every enemy a certain percentage of times.
Okay. Sure.
And like 6 of them are optional bosses that don't give you anything at all other than a little badge that you can hang in your little house. It just goes, "Hey, you did it," but doesn't count for completion percentage.
I don't like that. I have no problem with things that have entirely intrinsic value, where it's essentially like, if you take your Braid Star as an example, where there's no achievement associated, it's like, whatever, that's fine. But if the percentage number is one we're playing with, either let it count so that it moves the percentage closer to 100, or go over 100 into 101, 102, right? Do that if you need to, but it should be something. There's a little itch that bugs me about there being something as significant as a boss fight equaling nothing on the percentile. The percentiles.
The percentage tracker in Silksong tracks quests, items, abilities, areas. It does not track bosses.
Feels weird, but it's fine.
It feels very strange, and I will talk incredibly vaguely about the game structure. It's a 3-act structure in which the game expands further and further and further. But the 3rd act actually has like a really clear beeline through it of what to do and where to go, and has a lot of new stuff added to the overall game that you don't have to do and is just there for flavor.
Okay.
Because I hit the 3rd act with like 95% completion. Like I got like really close to the end.
Okay, and it almost sounds like you're describing a state change where you mainly have to get to a location, but you can go do other stuff if you feel like it. You know?
Yeah, that's basically it.
Yeah, okay, cool.
And I was like, I want to get my final 4 mask pieces, which is what I needed. And I want to polish off the 3 or 4 quests that are on the board. and then I want to go fight the final boss, like the final finale final boss, which has hands, which has extreme hands, and is very, very good and very satisfying. Silksong's good game. Thumbs up on Silksong. Good game. I'd give that game a 10 out of 10. That's an excellent game.
I know your voice way too well.
Yeah, you know it too well. Okay.
My ears are too attuned.
Silksong has like so I would call Hollow Knight a 10 out of 10, and I would call Silksong a 10 out of 10, but they don't share a lot of the same strengths and weaknesses. Playing as Hornet is more fun than playing as the pure as the knight.
Ooh, okay.
Okay. She moves faster. She has better air control. She has a wider variety of moves. She, like, just moving around and platforming and playing as Hornet is like a big improvement.
Maxed out versus maxed out, of course.
Not even like a little bit. Like the fact that the knight never gets a run ever, so you're dashing everywhere, like compared to Hornet's like sprint, I mean, that she gets immediately.
Outside of that, a character that is, for the most part, a character in a sequel should be more fun than you know, the one from the prior. So
absolutely,
yes.
She looks cooler. She's a little more proportional. I like the needle better than the nail. All that stuff, right? Her itemization, in that her tools and her crests and all that, like not the different moves you can unlock, but just the itemization, like compass or magnetism for money or whatever.
Pick which ones,
is way worse.
Than
the Hollow Knight charms.
So last week, I felt that was the case, and you did mention that you're like, well, what if you could change the whole move set? And I was like, oh, okay, well, now we're getting interesting. If there's an idea that says you can mix and match certain move sets with different balance of, you know, what if you want compass and pickup and this?
What if you want, you know,
red, yellow
weapons like Castlevania, or you want.
And that was like okay, so we're gonna give you options for your build instead of the full freeform smashing charms into your slots, right?
So the issue is, and this is really strange, so they took the criticism of, so in Hollow Knight you had charms, and charms you just had, I think it was like 5 slots total, and you could fit anything you wanted.
More than that.
What was it? How many was that?
There was like 10. It was a bunch of them.
Hollow Knight anyway, so let's say there were 10, right? 5 charms, nearly 10, 11. Well, okay. So yeah, let's say there were 10. You could equip all of them at once, and they had no designation or classification, right? Some took 2 slots.
Yep.
Some took 1, yada. And so it was this thing of like, well, do I want the compass, which is the single best navigational item in the game, but I'll be 1 charm weaker, right? In Silksong, it's been split into active tools, which I would call like Castlevania sub weapons, you know, throwing a knife or throwing a boomerang or some shit. Passive buffs like faster heal or heal more or poison damage on your tool attacks. And then what I would call utility, which is the compass, the charm that makes it so when you get hit, you don't get knocked back, the charm that magnetizes currency to your character, stuff like that. So there's a weird problem, is that there are like, you get enough slots for like 4 utility charms. There are not 4 good utility charms. There are 3. That's fucking weird.
And
and on the other side is the blue charms, which are passive buffs. All of them are good. All of those ones are excellent, but you can only carry like 2 or 3.
Right. Okay. And you also don't have weighting applying, like charms had weighting, right? Where something could take up multiple slots.
Yeah, no, everything takes a certain amount of slots. The main thing is that your moveset determines how many of the different colored slots you have.
Yeah, okay. So,
right, so like there's one that has like 3 red slots, so you can have like tons of sub weapons.
Yeah. No, my first impression of this was that, like, yeah, I was like, I don't like the lack of freedom there. And then the other thing too was that well, I guess this could still technically apply, but not really. In the case of Hollow Knight, like if you had to go sit down and hammer out a hard boss, right? And you know, if the plan was to just focus on that, take a bench outside and go for it, then you would take off all your navigational charms and put on
Yep.
combat focus charms for that fight, and then switch it back when you're done.
So that happens in Silksong, and what it is you're changing your entire crest. So you're changing from your navigation moveset that has the really, really, really good pogo that's trivial to the I'm gonna fucking fight a boss moveset that has like a longer range has more damage abilities, and then you'll just have like the charms and tools you want slotted into those to go. So when you're switching between them, you're not going like, how much should I mix and match this? It's going, no, I'm going from my platforming moveset to my boss killing moveset.
Okay,
And it's all set up and ready for me to go.
but the fact that you're losing a slot to a navigational color, no matter what, isn't like taking away something that you would,
No, it's in fact the navigational ones are like I there were a couple that I picked and I put them on every single one and I never changed them because they're not. The compass is the good one. The compass is the one that you need, and if you need money, it's the one that magnetizes money to you.
But
I ran that shit on every build that allowed 2 yellow charms the whole game.
Yeah, I guess I'm just saying, like, I would rather take both of those off and put fight things in there for a boss fight,
Yeah,
but
you can't, because the yellows don't have anything that make you stronger for a fight.
This is what is bugging me about that system.
Right?
Yeah.
So the knight was able to mix and match his build to more properly accommodate any particular challenge, right? Hornet has a bigger focus on, you know what you're gonna have to do to beat this boss? You're gonna have to fucking fight your ass off and just fucking lock in. That's what you're gonna do.
Don't get touched.
There's and so now we get to like the difficulty part, and after crushing that game and having no troubles, I think that game has a fairly unique difficulty problem that I've yet to see in anything ever. So the platforming is, I would say, consistently difficult. I would say the average platforming it expects you to do after about 3 or 4 hours is significantly tougher than anything you would expect outside of a core platformer. I would say it is like asking like Celeste minus 20% on average for all platforming sections.
Okay. And this is again a revisit to the conversation. Is it okay for a sequel to pick up where the escalation left off?
Yeah, no, it's a straight line. That curve just goes right up.
Can part 2 of a game start where the last one left off and ask the player to, that's where we were, so now take it from here?
And I think that's totally fine. And then we get to the combat, which is I'm gonna say traversal combat, which is like enemies out in the world, or there's a lot of arena fights where they lock you in and throw a bunch of enemy combinations at you, and the enemy combinations are pretty devious. And then there are boss fights, right? I think those are pretty tough on average, but like they're not crazy. I think the issue, and I think what's like slamming people into the floor, is that the game wants you to do like, let's say 75% of your personal ability platforming, and then land on a platform and fight like a fairly difficult batch of 2 enemies and get immediately back into the platforming, and then fight a couple enemies, and then the heavy platforming, and then the hard boss that you're actually stuck on. And there's 2 particular bosses in the game that require a run back, and one of which is the judge. And I got that run back down to like 65 seconds and never took a hit of damage doing it.
Okay.
like just wall bouncing and dashing over to where I needed to go. And I was able to do that boss fight maybe 15 times in a 45-minute period, and it took me 12, 13, 14 tries, and I beat it. And I was like, got it. If I was not absent-mindedly annihilating the platform section prior to that boss, it would have taken 3, 4, 5 times as long, because I would be getting to the boss hurt and frustrated and sweaty walking in the door.
So this is reminding me of Hollow Knight, where some of those runs would be super trivialized and made easy so that you had a clean fight against the boss, but it would cost you resources, right? You would use your fucking soul bug milk. It's bug milk in the little, it fills up, and then it's all white liquid. You'd be using your soul on the way to trivialize the enemies, and then get to the boss and be like, well, I'm out of soul, so I got to do this clean. Or you try to do those enemies clean and then take damage and then get into the boss fight, and then you pick one or the other, right?
Yeah. So I remember those runs, and they are a joke compared to the average run back to a boss Silksong expects. And there is one in particular that is maybe the only part of the game that I'm like, this feels like genuinely sadistic, where there is a secret bench that is hidden behind a secret wall. But if you don't find the secret bench, you are doing like a 15-minute run back through an entire zone to get back to the boss. Now, luckily, the boss is not that tough, but like I can easily see it like causing people to super crash out, because it can take, it took me 12 to 15 minutes to do that run. If you are not crushing it platforming wise, it could take you like half an hour. And even if you beat it in 5 tries, we're talking like 2.5, 3 hours on one guy.
Does Silksong also have what I just described, where you can spend
No.
to get through it faster and then get to the boss?
No.
And no, okay, you just got to do it clean every time.
You're gonna have to do the platforming while being attacked by enemies.
All right. Okay.
You can spend the ultimate resource of time to kill enemies and do the zone properly on your way back up. So yeah, I think that the combination of what it is asking for you to get back to some of those bosses is unnecessarily cruel for some players. And that it's a balancing problem, because there are bosses in the end game that are really quite difficult that have no run back at all. There is essentially a bench in front of their door.
Front of the boss, yeah.
And these are the only bosses that Team Cherry was like, no, you can't make people do a run back to this one. That would be too hard. But you guys should have extended that backwards to like the fucking halfway point of the game.
Okay.
Because it's ridiculous otherwise.
So whoever was on the team that was their cutoff point for difficulty being reasonable basically set that bar too high.
Way too high.
Yeah.
And no, it's not for difficulty, it's for frustration. Right? Because I don't think any of the bosses are actually, no, there's one boss that's like, I would say it's actually like fucked up and designed badly, and it's a fucking trash fire. Savage Beastfly 2 is fucked up. Like when I beat the game and I got 100%, I said, if there was only one part of this game that sucked ass, it is Savage Beastfly 2 is fucked up. That is a terrible boss fight. I don't know what the fuck they were thinking. God awful. Just terrible. But I think it's their I think it is their the threshold for frustration of like they thought the average player was going to hit it like I did.
Right.
And that's not the reality at all.
Also, even if you were super good at Hollow Knight, again, that was 7 years ago. You know what I mean? That was
it's not a really applicable set of skills. Like Hornet requires like a
Different things.
way faster reaction time on a lot of her stuff.
I'm kind of reminded of I think it was the show Fear Factor back in the day, where like there was one dude on the staff that would just do everything and be like, "Oh yeah, that's easy, that's fine, that's stunts, no problem," and therefore,
you can throw it at the randoms.
you can
I
throw
can do
it yeah, at the average contestant. It's like, nah, dude, you're nuts. That's crazy. You know.
It also provides like a very weird problem. So so the Beast Crest is a crest that allows you to like kind of fight bosses like a little dumber, because its heal is actually just like every damage you do heals a pip instead of like I stand there and heal. So it's a very in your face, like I'm just gonna stand here and fight the boss thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
The problem with the Beast Crest is, for any boss that requires platforming, its pogo is suicidal. It has like a very awkward curve where it goes forward for a little bit and then curves straight down. It is dog shit for platforming. So if you have to platform to get back to the boss, fucking tell the Beast Crest to go fuck itself.
And you can't switch unless you're at a bench.
Yeah, it's a bench switcher. Another nitpick, I think that by far the most fun crest and the most interesting crest in the whole game, being locked to the game's final 1%, is fucking stupid.
Oh,
it's fucking stupid. And I don't mean like you hit 99% and then it unlocks. I mean, it's like it's in a hidden area that you can only unlock in the very, 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 very end of the game.
Is it meant to be a new game plus?
No,
thing?
it's meant to be. It's just meant to be a really cool thing.
Okay.
To have. And I really loved it, and was just like, man, I wish I had the ability to play through more of the game with this thing. And I know it's not for balancing, because the strongest crest in the game by far can be unlocked like pretty early, and you can actually break the game super hard. The other thing is that Silksong has what I would call an anti-Elden Ring problem, in that the more people, let's say there's a boss mentioned that got nerfed a little bit called Moorwing, right? And Moorwing is pretty tough. It's not the end of the world, but he's got some gumption to him. And so the usual advice would be like, well, why don't you look around and see if there's something you can find that would make the fight easier? Maybe you can get more health. Maybe you can get more silk, with silk spool, which is your MP. Maybe you can get a cool tool or a crest or whatever. And what I found to be the case is that it almost never makes you meaningfully stronger to find anything. Traversal, absolutely, that's really good. But out of 57 tools, I would say that there are like 5 strong ones. And they're really, really fucking strong. Like, they're crazy busted. Like, you guys didn't do a numbers pass on how effective these tools were. Busted. I
mean,
but like usually you'll get like a blue, passive upgrade, and you're like, yeah, that's okay. It's not going to help me beat Moorwing, though.
Well, in a lot of cases, it's like, this will allow you to make one more mistake, or this will allow you to hit the boss one less time, or something to that effect, or
so the weapon upgrade is very important.
Yeah.
The health upgrade is bordering on meaningless. So you start with 5 pips. I think you start with 5 pips, right? And you can get to up to 10 of health, right? So most enemies do 2 pips of damage, right? This means when you get your first 4 mask pieces and upgrade to 6 pips of health, you have not actually increased your health at all, because it still takes enemies 3 hits to kill you.
Yeah.
So you actually need 8 masks to feel any difference at all. And after that, you would need 8 more masks to feel any difference. And getting the last mask piece feels like nothing has changed in any way.
Hmm.
The only thing it really does is that since you heal 3 pips of health at once, in fringe cases, you can end up like maximizing your healing
Right.
to a degree, but
right.
it's like the difference between like starting game health and end game health is 2 extra hits in a boss fight.
And and if you work tactical healing into it, then
But like
it adds up.
it's really really bananas. It's like it so when I'm like smashing my head against a boss and I'm like, maybe I can search for mask fragments, finding 3 fragments that don't upgrade my health or 5 that upgrade my health once, but the boss does 2 hits, and so it doesn't actually change how many hits or mistakes I can make during the boss. Like it's not meaningful to explore to get stronger outside of a couple of very insanely overtuned sub weapons and buffs, which are so ridiculously much better than their counterparts. It's genuinely unbelievable. Do you remember in Hollow Knight there was like I forget what it was called, but it was the build that you could just cover yourself in flies and bugs and it would just shoot out, like the minion build.
Gross thing, yes. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so there's a version of that for Hornet.
Okay.
And it is wildly busted. It's super crazy busted. It is by far the strongest thing in the game. I stopped using it because it was so good. You can put out 4 little minions like before you walk into a boss fight, and they attack the boss during the title boss intro when you're frozen.
Ah, sick. Yeah.
Like they start fighting the fucking boss early
in the stop time. That rules.
Yeah, and it's like there's no fucking way that was on purpose.
Hell yeah, scum that shit out. That's great.
And each time they buzz in and attack, it does like one needle hit worth. So if all 4 attack and you swing, that's like 5 hits.
Yeah, that's phenomenally good. Okay.
It is going to if you don't have the cog flies or haven't been using them in Silksong, you have like 2 weeks to fucking use them as hard as you can because it's gonna get nerfed.
It's getting touched.
It's Street Fighter 4 Sagat. It's going to get nerfed for sure.
The way you're describing this reminds me of like bosses where you start hitting a soft cap in a Souls game on like increasing your HP by 1 pip or 2. The number goes up a little bit, but you're fighting a boss that's like, I don't care if you're at max health, this thing hurts, and that's the end of that. You know?
There was a boss that I threw down the cog flies, and there's the little minions, and I threw down I think they're tacks. They're like thumbtacks, right? They damage enemies that stand on them, and I tossed those out before activating a boss and skipped like multiple phases on it so hard during its own intro that the music never started.
Wow. Okay.
So like, there are definitely tools in this game to like nullify a significant proportion of the game's challenge, but like the strong options in Silksong are like 15-20 times stronger than the normal options. Like they are crazy.
I'm curious about your approach in this type of game where there's 2 things I notice about hitting a wall on something, right? You can look and you can go, okay, either I will, as you've learned the boss move set, you can either go, that move keeps fucking me up when I try to hit, so I'm going to stop trying to even engage with that move and just treat it as a get the fuck out of there, take no damage. Or you can go the other way and say, I need to sneak more hits in, more risky, earlier in the fight to like speed this process up because my survivability is not going to get longer, right?
Okay, so I have option 3 for you.
Well, both of these things as you play are going to happen at the same time, and as you learn it more, it's going to improve. But I'm kind of just more so like, do you tend to go for the first initially, or do you go for more survivability?
No, I go for the third one. There is a correct answer to this move that is giving me a problem, and I need to find it. There is a movement pattern that I can do, or there is a way that I can mitigate this that I can do that will break this move. And I just need to figure out what it is. If you have beaten Silksong, you can go look at on my YouTube channel. You can look at the final part where I fight the final boss, in which you can see per attempt I go, I don't know how to deal with that. Maybe if I jump this way, maybe if I jump this way, maybe I need to jump that way.
Yes, okay.
And then I go and I figure out, oh, it's jump up and then dash and then fall and then run.
Well, no. So that is the second option I've described. So that is okay. Effectively, learning to deal with it, handle that move, evade it in the right way, and then when you get comfortable with that, maybe even sneak a little hit in. You know?
Yeah, sneak the hit in is sneaking the hit in is. So I think I understand why Cherry wanted you to do so much like above average difficulty platforming on the ways to bosses, because what they want you to do is learn the boss pattern and be comfortable enough with Hornet's movement that you can sneak in there, dash in, stab him once and dash out.
Right.
Or exactly when a boss attack goes like a wave across the stream that you can go, oh, I can double jump that, or I can wall jump and grab and all that, and then tag the boss and pogo them. Every single time a boss goes along the floor in this game, pogo them.
You've got to pogo.
Like every single fucking time, unless they're wearing like a helmet or like a big skull or something.
Yeah, no, as they say, when somebody tells you keep spamming a move, the answer to that is, well, you keep spamming a mistake.
Yeah,
you know,
absolutely.
Learn what that is, and
it is an incredible game that is much larger than it appears, which is kind of a crazy thing to say because it appears extremely large. There are a bunch of cool routing situations where there's like strange ways into zones that you wouldn't think you'd be able to. There's a hidden move in your base moveset that is built for complicated routing. If you click in on the right analog stick, Hornet uses a piece of silk to do a taunt. And the taunt brings enemies closer to her. So if you're standing at a goofy platform and taunt a flying enemy over, you can use them to pogo up into sections you would not think are possible.
That would have saved some time instead of waiting for the pattern of the fly to do its laps. Yeah. There's a taunt to bring him closer. Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
God damn. All right.
Yeah, Hornet's great. The game's story as it is, which is fairly simple, is great. There's some nice twists in there, like genuine, proper twists. Your long-term antagonist Lace is great.
Nice. Good.
The
Good name.
Remarkable and ridiculous span of different types of environments is fantastic. I said it last week. I spent most of the game thinking I was like halfway through. I spent maybe 80% of the game going, I guess I'm about 55, 60%.
When you walk into a vertical like area in Silksong where bodies of warriors are falling onto the platforms and you're like barely anywhere in the game, but it feels like you're like, oh, this must be an important area. It's like, no, this is just a zone that has that as a set piece to it. Yeah, are we like hitting that level of presentation and
oh yeah, no, it's absolutely gorgeous. There's even a bunch of what I'd call single-use tile sets.
Okay.
Where you have like a wildly different environmental design and particle effects and all that for a very, very small sequence.
How is the I guess I'll just say like runtime to credits compared to Hollow Knight.
So I took 42 hours to 100%. Now you need to if you're gonna 100% the game for realsies, as in not look up anything and not have anyone whisper in your ear when you miss that thing. I do 50, 55. I had a fairly good intuition. Like I would have probably beat it at 45 and just not gotten some of the mask upgrades.
Did it feel? Did
But
you?
as for like where to go, I would have gotten. I would have probably gotten there in like 45, 46 instead of 42.
And no feeling of drag on that.
No. So my opinion of Silksong is going to be massively, massively positive compared to many people. There was not a single point in the entire game that I got stuck for more than 40 minutes. Like
Okay.
nowhere. Like absolutely at no point did I ever actually get properly stuck.
Okay.
And so I'm like, wow, the pacing was incredible. And every 2 hours there was a new area, and I was getting new tools the whole time, and it was just this magical, wonderful experience. And then I just think to people who are like in my chat that are like, I spent like the entire day on Morwing, didn't beat him.
That's a
Like
different experience.
that is a pacing annihilator.
Yep,
The
yeah.
other thing that I was thinking about, like, you know, because Dark Souls has lots of runbacks and Elden Ring has tons of runbacks, right? But in Dark Souls, when you do a run back to a tough boss, you fight your way to that tough boss, which is your warm up for fighting the tough boss.
Sometimes you sprint and roll and fucking
Well,
ass.
that's when you're getting goofy with it. But
Sometimes you
in
haul
Silksong,
ass.
most of the runbacks to bosses are just pure platforming. They're not actually fighting.
Okay.
And so you're not actually getting better at fighting the boss at all, or even using your own abilities to fight the boss, because you're just platforming. I will say one thing that's really annoyed me about the way people talk about Silksong, and maybe this is just me being in like a negative Nancy. I can't stand the way everyone refers to 2 masks of damage as double damage. I hate it. It's not double damage, because that would imply that that enemy had the same attack that did half as much. No, what you're saying is that in Hollow Knight, things did 1 pip of damage, and in Silksong, many attacks do 2 pips of damage. That's not double. That attack is just stronger.
Yeah, some things in Zelda do different hearts worth of damage, and that's that. That's fine.
Like double means that there's 2 attacks and one is the same and the other just does twice as much.
But I suppose one would expect that the 1 pip would be the baseline default unit in a game, so that when you start multiplying it, it indicates more power, strength, and difficulty, as
So the
opposed
reason
to
why that is,
the default being automatically 2. You know?
The reason why that is because the Knight is tough and the Hornet's fast.
Right.
So they want, like, if the Knight was in Silksong, he would take 1 pip of damage from nearly all these
enemies and such. Right.
And then some of those enemies would be violently difficult to deal with his moveset because he's not fast enough. Like it would be some of those bosses would be miserable with the Knight's moveset.
There's always almost like that depraved style run of just like avoid it all and then take a swing or shoot a fireball out when you get an opening, and then for the most part you're evading for most of the fight.
There's a build you can use that has you don't have to attack.
Interesting.
You don't have to attack at all. It'll take a really long time.
Interesting.
But you can totally actually just focus exclusively on defense. I used it for a little bit, and I found that it was cool that it exists, but that I was like, I want to hit things. I want to hit things with my sword.
Okay. So, all in all,
Great game with the caveat that it really demands that you lock in super hard. Like it is a straight line up from Godmaster. Like it is not a straight line up from Hollow Knight and Hollow Knight's Dream No More ending. It is a straight line up from like the Godmaster DLC for Hollow
the
Knight.
DLC. Yeah. Okay.
And I think I really genuinely think this thing should have had 2 difficulty levels. I think it should have had the one they have now, and I think it should have had the one that everything just does half as much damage as it does right now.
I mean, but Souls game difficulty levels, people don't want to get into that, but there's also multiplayer summoning and other elements to mitigate, right?
Give them baby mode. Call it grub mode, whatever.
I mean, probably more so an in-game way to do that for elegance, instead of like select a different item, menu item. The things where you can summon for boss fights in Souls games, or the things where you can put on an accessory.
There are occasionally NPCs that will help you, but I never found one. I never found one NPC to help me with any boss fight, though apparently a bunch of them can.
But at the same time,
hold on a second. Just hold on a second.
Yeah.
When you describe Souls things, that's a really bad example.
Okay.
Because Souls allow you to numerically empower your character.
Yes.
Silksong does not allow you to numerically empower your character in any meaningful way.
Okay, but I'm using Souls not as an example of powering up, though, for the difficulty. I'm using it as an example of if you don't want to have a main menu that says normal and then hard mode, you can put a thing in the game that the player can do to optionally choose to make the game easier, such as bring your friends along for the run, or put on an accessory that is effectively an easy mode thing, but it's within the same difficulty world game you've started, as opposed to a main menu distinction.
I don't think there's all that much that could be done. I think that people complaining about like the bosses and stuff like that is actually like you will take like a contact tag off of an enemy and take 2 pips of damage and then fall into a spike for 2 more pips of damage.
Well, like fall into a spike and
you're starting 5.
Fall into a spike and that's that, right? That's a reset position.
Yeah, and so resets your position and now you're down 90% health. And like I think they actually toned down all the spike damage in the last patch. I think they toned down the spike damage from 2 to 1 last week, specifically off of that complaint.
It's kind of funny to imagine this light is bugging me. Hold on a second. Sorry. It's
right in your face.
Yeah. It's funny to imagine a lot of the time these things happen as a result of something gaining more popularity and accessibility and reaching a larger audience. In a world where this game was as popular as Hollow Knight was, or less of a huge build-up to its release, there's probably less of a discussion about, some of this. Yeah, I'm like, you're allowed to make a hard game if you want to make a hard game. That's
you're allowed to do anything.
Yeah, you can do.
That, like it would
be best as a product to.
I totally agree with that. And so like it's one of these things. It's like I would not feel super comfortable saying this had I not just stomped the final boss out in like 40 minutes last night. Like no problem. Like I feel very comfortable saying that I beat the shit out of Hollow Knight Silksong in a very fast pace. I loved it. I was in a perfect eustress flow state like the whole time. I stream video games all day. Like it's weird that the game's difficulty starts at like 90% of Hollow Knights instead of like even 50%, and then rising up to 150.
Wait,
right?
what did you, what stress? What did you say?
EU stress.
You stress.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a beneficial stress for flow.
Let's learn.
Um,
Moderate or normal psychological stress interpreted as being beneficial.
So like there's some ant enemies in a very early area, right? Those ant enemies have more moves. You can encounter the ants in like the first 45 minutes, right? Those ant enemies have more moves than the first like 4 or 5 bosses in Silksong in Hollow Knight.
In Hollow Knight, yeah. I mean, first boss
like,
has one move. It's
like
yeah,
it is awesome how complex and interesting all the new stuff is. But like the ramp, like I played the Hollow Knight 7 years ago. Most people played that game 6 or 7 years ago if they did. And a lot of people are coming in new. There's like no ramp at all. It's like just go. And like I'm ready to go. I'm ready to go right now. But it's like it's super extreme. Also, the beginning of the game has an inverted difficulty curve.
You power up and get the ability to crush things harder as you unlock all the
your expertise. Like basically, you get like the first act is the hardest. And then the second act is pretty tough, but you do actually have some good upgrades, but you're very comfortable with your character's movement. And then the third act, you all have had your good upgrades like for 20 hours. And even if stuff is getting stronger, it's not getting that much stronger.
Yeah. I honestly think game difficulty as a discussion is just going to exist forever in the industry because,
of course.
Yeah, because creators are objective people with their own outlooks on, what things should feel like for new players and, what games are for, and everything is usually made as a reflection of whatever that creator experienced as a kid and what they cherish. So it's just going to be like some games are going to be made because some people want freak beasting as part of their menu, and others are going to be like, no, we want everyone who buys this to enjoy it. And then some are going to look at it and say, yeah, but I spent money on it, therefore I should have the ability to not feel like I'm getting bounced out by it, and it's always going to come up to how the developer feels about that piece, in the same way that movies will offer up an explanation for things when it's not necessary, and then sometimes it'll cut to black and play Don't Stop Believin' over the credits,
So I think that I can only speculate because I don't know Team Cherry, but I think Team Cherry doesn't realize that they are out of touch with the level that people play games at.
Well, if they dodged the complaints and the level of like bullshit that's been building while developing the game, while being insulated from it, yeah, I would say that it's not just complaints not reaching them.
I think
it'd be a lot of things not reaching them.
Like failed in their intended difficulty curve because they forgot that everyone else is not them. Do you know what I mean? Like when I think about the Souls series, and I realize, and you think about how Hidetaka Miyazaki hasn't actually played almost any of them and just uses all his like he played through Elden Ring recently for the first time, start to finish, and was like, yeah, I'm not good at them, so I used all the tricks that I know from being the game's director.
Okay, right? Okay. But by that same token, so Lies of P, which you said is really good, and it's
excellent, absolutely
right?
Stellar.
Does Lies of P kind of have you walking in there going, I know you fought the Orphan of Kos, and we're coming in with that expectation. As a new player, we're going to treat you as somebody who's handled that challenge.
So that is a really, really, really good example, because when the DLC came out, the very excellent Lies of P DLC came out, it also came out with multiple difficulty modes that they added to the game.
Okay. Because, the other thing that I always am reminded of is how a game comes out, it's a new thing in a genre, it gets created, and then after that, a lot of fans make derivative things and or homages that enter that genre, and it's like people who have gotten used to this, that want more from it, that want to see it pushed further, they build and build and build, and so there's a level where that floor goes higher and higher for the expectation of what you're going to have to accomplish.
Lies of P is really interesting. There are multiple reasons why those difficulty levels got added. One of which is they felt that the base game might be too tough for the average game player. The second of which, way more interesting, is that the DLC came out, but lots of people were on like New Game Plus or New Game Plus Plus. And so the DLC on those levels would be fucked up. They'd be crazy.
Scaled.
It was the old Hunters problem.
Okay.
So if you were on like New Game Plus Plus or some shit,
and then it comes out,
you can tone the fucking difficulty down so that it becomes back to like a normal fucking game.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
And then alongside the easier difficulty modes, once you beat the DLC, you unlock the ability to actually fight every boss in the game in a boss rush mode or like solo. For like, high scores and little medals, which also includes multiple extra escalating difficulty levels. Like you can fight the final boss of the DLC on like extra difficulty 5, in which he feels like a fucking Dark Souls Kaizo hack. It's fucked. So they expanded it into both directions.
Okay. So yeah, then just put a little easy mode accessory in the main game and call it a day. That's it. You
have it take a charm.
Put the hat on and then everything.
Put a charm out that fucking, I don't know, decreases contact damage by 1.
Sure, gives you a little bit more control over your healing or the ability to make mistakes or something. A shield that regenerates and absorbs a hit. So
you want to hear something really interesting? So there was Berserker, the first Kazan, that Souls-like game by Bandai Namco, I think. The anime game about DNF. The first Berserker.
Yes.
So they were like, because they look at the metrics, right? They look at the achievements. They're like, wow, a lot of people are getting stuck. A lot of people are getting stuck in the game, right? We should put out a easier difficulty so that people who have bought the game are more likely to finish it. And then they got more data off of that. And they discovered something that I have been wondering for a really long time. There is finally a primary source data point to confirm it. When people are playing a Souls-ish game or a harder action game, people on average would rather quit playing it entirely than turn the difficulty down. All the data they got was they found an extremely small amount of people turn the difficulty down, and most would just quit entirely.
Right. Okay. The pride point. And the fact that you're coming along to this type of game to begin with is qualifies your personality type and what type of gamer you are.
Which really it reminds
easy
me
mode
of
is now selectable. How fucking dare you?
Reminds me of the way that puzzle games are designed, in that it's not important that you make a puzzle that requires a smart player to solve. What's important is that you make puzzles that make the player feel smart for solving them. And the action game equivalent is that you want it to be hard enough that the player feels good that they accomplished it, but not so hard that they don't actually accomplish it at all. But that's a problem because every single person has a totally different skill set. I think Elden Ring might have the best default difficulty of any game that has ever existed. I think Elden Ring might be one of the best design games ever made, because the strength of I will go somewhere else and maybe find something easier or get stronger is so perfect for everyone. It is absolutely incredible.
There's also always somewhere else to go. Like hours and hours in, there's always some brand new thing to be like, I'll just go there instead, right? If this boss of this particular pathway is not working out for me. I was going to say on the puzzle bit that Solving puzzles in Baba Is You never felt good.
No.
Solving puzzles in Baba Is You was always anger at the game.
It felt like I fell into them, and like I would go like, I guess that worked.
It was a hearty, oh fuck you, as the solution popped off and you moved to the next level.
Yeah, no, it didn't feel good ever.
Interesting. Okay. All right, good stuff, Silksong.
But Silksong, great. 10 out of 10. Incredible game. If you have not played Hollow Knight and you're interested about Silksong, I would highly playing Hollow Knight.
Highly recommend.
Not just because it's a direct sequel, but also because you will find out if you want to keep going on that difficulty curve at the end of Hollow Knight.
It's a good game, and it expects that you have learned the skills up to this point.
Like the final boss of Hollow Knight is a fucking chump compared to almost everything past the 20% mark in Silksong. There are even redos of that style of boss fight that are dramatically harder, and they're not like even important. They're like,
I would say
there's a mid boss at like the 25% mark that is way tougher than the final boss of Hollow Knight.
I would say final boss of Hollow Knight is super squashed by DLC of Hollow Knight.
Yeah,
in its own right, before you even get to Silksong, you know, massively trivialized. So, yeah. Okay.
Very good game. I like it.
Very cool.